side that there's a lot more than just playing to a UEL game. You don't just sit down and it's like, oh, you hand me the controller and I press the buttons, right? It's like, no, there's the outside aspects as well as the inside aspects that you have to handle. And maybe we are seeing that from the side of the Bandits. Hopefully they lose a timeout here, but find their first win.
Yeah, it would be a decent trade at this point in the game. You'll take anything for a win, so if they need to give away a timeout for it. Incorrect setup is not the reason you want to be using that timeout, but thankfully, if this one can go their way, with CTR coming up next, they have a really good opportunity to start going on a streak. The only problem is that streak would have to start with a win here, and they're not going up against a slouch of a team in the Cyclones.
Now, for the people at home, bring your eyes
Let's get it, guys.
to that right side of the screen. If you're wondering who all is in, you can read it there next to each team at the top of the screen. But on the right side, you see these cameras, and you see the featured matchup between the two brothers. Silver there on the bottom, lit up in color, and black and white.
Yeah, you can hear me, right, Basement?
Brother. I don't think he's that old. Scarlet, you can always tell who we're watching there, both by the arrow in the middle as well as whoever's camera is lit up in color. We know able to know exactly who is currently in the game. Now, Speedy, I got to come to you for lineups and these rosters from these teams. What do you expect?
Me, I think. Me and Ambush, I think.
So what I can see so far already from the side of the Cyclones is that they are running a heavy information and information denial setup. They have a double smoke setup and double information with all the way on that right side. You can see that character Cypher on the bottom part of the screen where the characters are chosen. Now on your very bottom left, that character can plant around cameras that can keep eyes on objectives, on choke points, let the team know where those players are coming from on the other side, and that phase is a little bit more of a singular information gatherer, can use her abilities to track players on the map by looking directly at the map itself. And that would be Phoenix right there. That is going to be their carry player in both Seif. That's the kind of character that you want to have a strong shooter on.
Okay, so
because you need to rely on their abilities to win gunfights and not give you information, not block off routes, but rather go into a gunfight, take more than a single kill, and put your team at an advantage to start winning objectives. That's the team we're going to see there. However, on the side of the Bandits, we are going to see a pretty standard setup with that Sage there for healing for the team. That's that character that you see first on the red side. And then we have some smokes, a little bit of information gathering in that KO, that third character on the red side. Yoru is going to be that duelist carry character that we talk about. He is going to be able to fake people out with his fake clones of himself that can blind the opponent. Now we see these are the smokes that are going to be going down. Already Silver is setting down a smoke on a choke point, prepping himself to go, and we can see that Bosif actually already got locked up a little bit by a Cypher there. So now you see trying to use his abilities already early on, wants to help take sight rather than taking a 1v1 later in the round.
And it looks to me like Silver's the one already on site. They realize they may have caught somebody here off the left side, but they need to step out here. But that's Jury throwing the blind here, trying to put pressure. But I think we're going to see a flash here into some type of execute, and it looks like they are instead choosing to rotate, maybe realizing like, hey, we got a few resources out. We don't need to overcommit and force a play, possibly losing.
Yeah, after scouting, it's never a bad idea to try to rotate as long as you have somebody watching your backside, watching the rotation angle, because now what they've done is they've forced the Bandits to also make a rotate, and they're not going to be set up as sturdy on this site. They've already gathered enough information to know that there are going to be players there. We'd see a gunfight starting. The plant has already begun, so the spike is being planted. That's going to be the objective going down, and if that takes too much time to be defused now by the defending team, we're going to see a win from the Cyclones, but that shot is not going to land. We can see one in heaven, putting down plenty of kills, and that's Taegeta picking up 2, trying to finish that one out. We can see Silver here now, Bosif spectating his teammate Silver.
And a nice lineup with the Molly there to ensure that they couldn't easily take and defuse the spike. Trying to get some shots down. He needs to stop Jury from the defuse, and he does manage to clutch it out. A great job by Silver, showing that practice pays off. He knew his lineups. He knew where he needed to be. The Bandits, though, putting on an amazing showing, picking up those kills in that retake of the site once the bomb was down. Really impressed by their play.
Yeah, it was really threatening, and it shows that these next few defensive rounds, they've got a solid chance to be able to take this map. It's very contested, whether this is a defender or attacker-sided map, and of course, that was early on in the game before a lot of new agents came into the game, so there may be a more definitive side that people prefer at this point. But even so, the way the map is built, it is very even, very back and forth. The defense can take a round at any time. You can see that right now Boar is setting up here on the defense, trying to get himself a peek. He's watching that rotate through the showers. That is the far rotate. As smoke goes down, and you see that the Fade also tries to gather some information. Not going to be able to. Actually uses 2 resources. Boar doing a good job of holding a distraction. And if he doesn't lose his life here, which he doesn't, he uses the teleport that he set in the back of the map. So he was able to get out. His teammates are going down there. You see Taegeta, a really instrumental player in their retake last time, already down. Now we're going to see 1 more down, but it's a trade, and now 2 for 2. We've got 3 on the objective on each side. Defusing the objective is the Bandits already, even with other players alive. Boar trying to use his abilities, doesn't cover his teammate for the defuse. Now trying to finish off that last half. The ultimate coming through isn't going to kill him in time. Sacrifices his life to be able to get that defuse, and it's going to be a win on defense for the Bandits. A great adaptation for them.
Got to be a little bit more preemptive there. You have to be able to realize if that was they got it to halfway or not. That's the only little bit of communication I think that the Cyclones were missing on that round. Otherwise, they managed to get used a lot of utility, but managed to push Boar back off the site, use that space to get a plant down, and with that plant, they had full control, but just knowledge. We saw there that Boar went, oh, I can do this. This is half? Okay, cool. I can do this for free. He even saw the laser, and he was like, oh, okay.
All right. Nice. Didn't even flinch, yeah. Took that one from Silver. That was actually Silver that put down the ultimate. So like you said, that practice, he's got a lot of these timings down. He just wasn't quite aware. You can see the information coming through, a little bit of a scan over there on a player hiding here on B. A nice flash from Bosif, but he's unable to get the kill, so he's instead going to block off that area of the site. Now he can step on his own molly and it will help to heal him, but one of Bosif's teammates go down. It's now 2 as Silver drops to Taegeta. Taegeta out here putting down plenty of damage. Once again, you can see early on in that fight why him going down was terrible. Now Bosif takes out the other tier 1 and Jury finds another kill. A third! His reset from his ultimate, but he goes down immediately, so it's a 2v2 on the objective. Bosif put in so much work for his team. They just have to close this one out. There's 1 more. Bandits have to defuse. You can see them holding the angles. They don't know which side it's going to approach from. The kill comes through. It's a 1v1.
But he managed to get it halfway once again and win that fight, but was not able to respawn quick enough to get the kill back. This is one of those situations where they're covering each other just enough, buying just enough space. So even when they end up taking these fights, they don't lose the entire round. They're quick to get onto the defuse. This is something that a lot of players don't think about. If you get it to halfway, you have so much more comfort in how you're able to play out the rest of the round, knowing that you don't have to do a full defuse time before it explodes.
Yeah, now the economy is definitely pushing the way of the Bandits. The amount of money that they've gained from winning these last 2 rounds and the deficit of economy right now that the Cyclones have, their inability to be able to buy all of their weapons. You can see that already a kill comes through for the side of the Bandits, so they get an early lead. Now some smoke's going to be set up here from Taegeta on the Clove. He finds his area that he wants to smoke off, and it's going to be those showers, that far left angle that we saw 2 rounds ago the Cyclones decided to push to. Even so, Taegeta not going to full rotate, and it seems that's going to be wise because we see a Brimstone smoke coming down on the B objective. He knows that there's a player here. He heard it. He saw it on his mini-map. A little bit of a blind comes out, but his teammates are dropping right now to that Odin. It is the big weapon that the Cyclones have decided to rely on for a win in this round. It's working for them so far. The shots aren't good from Taegeta, and it's only going to be 1 remaining. A trade of a kill means that the Cyclones are going to take that round.
That round went to the young playmaker on the Cyclones, Pizza. Man, picking up a 3K there. I hear the calls coming from the Bandits, but it wasn't enough. This is the thing, is the first 2 rounds, I feel like the Bandits made some smart plays, but it was their shooting that got them the ultimate win. Even with the heroics coming out of the Cyclones, right there, it seems like maybe the fundamentals, the comfort of the Cyclones finally came through, and they were able to find another win, taking us to 2. You mentioned the Bandits would want a 5-0, something really strong defining, but it looks like the Cyclones are saying we're here to fight every step of the way, each and every single one of these games. But here we go. You see there, when I said that the young gun Pizza Man, I was not kidding there in the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, very young, very gun as well. He is a up-and-comer in the UEL. He has been working really hard these last season and a half or so to really put himself on the map, and he's doing so. You can see he's on the Cyclone roster.
Did you see that Yoru teleport just slipped by the bottom edge of his screen? I don't know if he noticed it or not. It looks like he's stepping back and finally realizing it as it expires.
And it looks like his team had rotated around the backside. 2 kills from Pizza Man now. Headshots watching that shower side after taking out 2. You can see how quickly his attention changes. He's got a really quick reflex on him. Now just holding this position, he knows that his rotated teammates gave him enough time to clear out that long position on A. Now just holding showers. His teammate up there on Heaven, you can see on the left side of the screen, you can see his teammate through the wall. They're going to watch this angle, but it's very possible that there's been a full rotate from the side of the Bandits on their first attack.
To me, though, the most important thing is Cypher is still up. That a lot of that utility you see out of Cypher to deny information, deny quick bridges, could be set up on that B side to slow down any possible approaches, and it looks like that patience was good by Pizza Man. He was able to see, now he's tossing to get that information, and he sees 2, but this is Pizza Man. This is Pizza Man!
Pizza Man with the 4K on the round. The information coming through from him and him alone. He is putting in the work for his team. Picks up 2 kills off of the failed rotate push by his teammates. Able to take out the 2 that took them down, and then finds 2 of his own holding the objective by himself. When we talk about carries, I'm not looking at Jury or at Bosif anymore. I am fully locked in on Pizza Man at this point.
I'm going to give a little bit of lore while this round starts up. Last season, Pizza Man multiple times at least in like a 3v5 game of Valorant Byron. It was the craziest thing to watch. Just him, and you saw the little smile come up, that's exactly what happened. He just jumped peek in this corner, just comfortably like, yeah, okay, they might show up here. Ready to play, looking to maybe rotate. Realizes that no one's here, but I hear the comms from both sides. Jerry picking up that first kill on the Silver is going to help them get onto this B site, but he's still looking for information. Throws it over, he finds 1, he kills.
Let's see if we can find any more. He is, yeah, getting a little bit of information on the objective still. We know what he can do when he has a little bit of info. He pops another one, looking for this final player. He's hunting at this point. Very much playing the correct character. They hit that blind of the Yoru, takes down the Yoru of his own. And that's going to be a 3K, I think, from Pizza Man. So 4K and a 3K back-to-back rounds, and now his team sits on match point.
I was saying those first few rounds, the Bandits found their footing. They found a few opportunities. They played well, but they shot their way out of solutions. They thought, well, if we take down Silver, if we take down Bosif, we're fine. We got some space. Every single time we managed to win those rounds, and slowly along the way, Pizza Man's just been picking up a kill here or there, and now he's fully saying the game is mine. I will secure my team a 5th point and put us comfortably in the lead.
Yeah, it seems like the hard-fought wins for the Bandits might not be coming through quite yet, even through this hard fight so far. Right now, they are down by quite a bit. They have to win 3 in a row here if they want to take this game, and Pizza Man has himself set up on this angle that he seems to favor so much. Always begins the round there, this time making a much earlier rotate than previously, deciding that he's going to help out his team earlier on. We saw Jury get that first pick last round. They do not want that to happen again, but we can see that right now. Taygeta is rotating through showers. He has the spike. This is what the team's priority is going to be. Checking all of his angles, making his way onto the site, but falls and even drops the spike outside of showers. So now his entire team has to rotate his way. Oh, unfortunately, they have to get to the objective. You can see that those smokes going down on the left side.
And getting hit there by Pizza Man's Prowler, he has to back up. Jury is not able to continue to walk forward. They need to get the space, because if they don't find the spike, which they have, they're planting it finally. They have to be worried here. The Flash, is he able to find a kill here? No one when he turns the corner. In fact, he just gets dropped.
Here's what's gonna happen. Whoever controls the streets controls the city. And I am here now. From here on out, no more playing it safe.
You've really moved up in the world.
Those Carmine Falco's right hand. I'm gonna be the new Kingpin of Gotham.
The Penguin, streaming exclusively on Max.
Well, the gang's all here. Let's hit the road.
It's the Disney Plus blockbuster offer.
That's right.
$1.99 a month for 3 months of Disney Plus.
That's a great idea.
Get the hottest shows,
Great, you can say that again.
biggest movies, and most epic events.
What happens next?
For a limited time, get 3 months of Disney Plus for $1.99 a month.
Join me.
With the Disney Plus blockbuster offer.
Or you don't have it. If you don't know you can beat Jury, you don't have it ready to go, and I think his team is confident there. I wonder who they send in with him second. Do you send in Scarlet here to probably secure the win guaranteed? Or are you willing to say, hey, Lucci and Lovejoy, one of y'all's got to show now that y'all have that extra coverage and maybe support so we can have more lineup flexibility?
Yeah, it would be our first time seeing them apart like that, so I'm actually interested to find out if we are going to get them separated. But if you want to bank on some of these fighters that are going to be a tight race between these two teams, you're going to want to leave one of those three players, Scarlet, Lovejoy, Lucci, any of them, you got to leave them on the sideline. So whoever can cover the most ground, leave the two out that can cover the entirety of the fighting game section of the wheel. We'll just have to see. I'm sure it'll come up eventually. You know, we got to roll those fighters at some point, but whether you have two players, whether you have three, your whole team should be able to cover them anyways. So Jury can go in with any one of these players, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. CTR should be pretty big for people at home because I have a sneaking suspicion. Normally, I'm a little bit more tame and not worried about it as much. This probably is surprising a lot of people just joining us that are familiar with the league, that aren't familiar with the league.
Yeah.
5 games have been played, and all 5 have gone in the favor of the Cyclones. Some from unforced errors by the Bandits, a couple of back-to-back FFs, whether they don't want to play StarCraft or they just don't correctly send in lineup for NHL. They end up losing 2 forfeits and going down exceptionally early, even in the closer ejected rivals, as well as Dragon Ball fighters that went down. If you're at home and wondering, I know we have a lot of things on screen, and you are new, you can see each team's scores, you can see the season and the week that we are season 9, and you see the timers now at the bottom of your screen. You have lineups, you've seen people light up and disappear. Our lineups work very similar to baseball. Everybody has to go once before someone can go a second time. I'm not figuring out how I want to say that, but in that moment, I think that that's the simplest way to go. So here, 2 of these 4 left on either side are going to go in. You'll see them get grayed out with a little in-game green marker to tell you exactly who is playing. So make sure you get your channel points in for whoever you believe is going to win. You want a little bit of suggestions from your first time. I'd bet on the Bandits on this one. Trust me, you'll thank me later.
Yeah, one player in particular is going to be the main focus of that entire game. It's the information we're going to want first is which quadrant is Jury sitting in, and that's what we're going to have our eyes on for quite a while. One of the 2 of us lucky commentators here is going to be able to cover that, while the other one, we're going to try to fight to watch Jury, while the other has to watch the other 3 to see if anything exciting is happening over there.
I want to highlight, you forget, in the Shogun's game last Sunday, NY Chris G won by driving the best race, not by power sliding or drifting or using all these extra things. He just drove his race, so you never know. Those diamonds in the rough might just surprise you.
Sure.
I don't know against Jury.
Against Jury, we might not.
If that happened against Jury, I think everyone's changing how they play CTR.
Yeah.
Every single person in the room is like, oh, CTR, yeah.
Yeah, we'll never see a power slide again.
Now, I'm gonna.
Right.
We're resource. Okay. My brain doesn't understand because you mentioned the veteranship in this league, right? If I sound perplexed, it is because this is not what I've expected from the Bandits. On the Bandits, you have multiple champions. People on multiple different teams that have won championships, multiple championships, have been in the league for an exceptionally long time. And kind of like AV hinted at, though, Jury and Taygeta maybe weren't a part of sending lineups and doing all the extracurricular stuff as part of the league. Scarlet in the same way when he was over on the Reapers. And even still, with the veteranship that's on this team, the idea that you use 2 timeouts, you have 1 more timeout for the next hour and 15 minutes that you might be forced to use more. And then you have 2 more forfeits. One of those was unforced. You probably maybe considered not playing NHL anyway, but you don't know for sure. And so now I have to say you're running out of resources and you're down, so this win is going to be just as much out of your control as it is in your control.
Yeah, and the Cyclones right now with total control over the entirety of the game. Up by 5 with the Bandits yet to take a single point. I mean, this has to be it. This CTR absolutely has to be the game that they take. Otherwise, we're questioning the Bandits. We're questioning Jury. I'm already questioning the Bandits and what's going on in that team. So Jury, as the Tier 1 player, has to lock it down for his team, get them their first win, show us that he's not the reason they're wasting all these timeouts and forfeits. At least be the singular pillar of light for your team, because right now, Bosif is killing you in the record.
And if I'm looking at y'all from a management perspective, bring somebody in to do lineups. Like that's the simplest thing. If you can remove that, we've seen this lineup perform exceptionally well. Now, we are waiting to get in the game. We have a technical timeout out there on the floor. But if you want to catch more about what's happening on the inside of the league, know what people are doing, you need to tune in for Technical Timeout, the show on the UEL Esports channel, Wednesday at 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST with Logan Summit. He brings the energy. He talks the trash. He will let you know when people are saying the most absurd things. We've had players come in and saying, I'm going to start practicing in week 3 of the season. And he has choice words that I myself would not be using, but it's always a good time. And amazing to watch Logan really dial in and dig into the players, not just in punishing their mistakes, but also lifting them up higher. It's a fun time, so please come out and join us. We're going ahead and get into this game, I would hope soon. I just hope we don't lose another timeout.
Yeah. Well, the best part about that technical timeout for people who are just tuning in right now is that they actually don't have to wait until next Wednesday. They can check out last night's episode, figure out what's going on, because we've got a lot going on. He had a lot to say about this week, and it looks like so far we've got, I believe it was Jury and Lovejoy heading on in for the side of the Bandits.
And Lovejoy, you are correct. And then on the other side, it is Silver and Phoenix.
Ah.
I had to go ahead and take a glance there. But they're off to an amazing start here. NCAA coming up next. And I believe Bosif should be available. College football, another one of those fun sports games. And I think this was an opportunity for them to shine. So people at home, if you're looking for the different places to keep your eyes on, Jury's going to be in that bottom left-hand corner of your screen when we get into the race. So you can see the arena here. You can see, I can tell you right now, the Bandits are locked in. And I know this expectation is very different here. Because I'll let you know, Speedy, if you don't already, but for people at home, former head coach of the Bandits, Rex, is a roommate with Lovejoy. Rex being one of those top-tier CTR players.
Yeah.
So a lot of expectations on Lovejoy in your top right. So you're watching these diagonals.
Well, looks like we have an incorrect setup. This is supposed to be a closed race with only 4 players, and we have 8 racers in the game. So we are going to back out of there, and someone it's going to be the Cyclones losing a timeout. So the Cyclones getting a little bit flustered at the fact they have to go into this game against Jury. Suddenly the tides are returning. This one can really go in the Bandits' favor.
So I'm going to spoil it a little bit here. This is the little subtle thing that people don't realize. There's a specific difficulty called no AI. If you're not careful in setting up, and you maybe think, oh, I just put it on hard, right, and like select the number of players, and that's fine. No, that's exactly how you see right there. Cyclones, there's still some stuff you need to clean up. CTR maybe was a game that, in my mind, that they probably wanted to forfeit. But when you go up by 5 games, I think your mentality shifts in how you play the game. You're now playing the clock way more than you're playing anything else. Because all you have to do is count on your games rolling and playing well. So I'm going to do it once again. Bottom left should be Jury. Top right should be Lovejoy. Top left is Phoenix. And bottom right is Silver. So you're looking at the bottom left and the right for, in my opinions, the known quantities of these teams that you can see them jump out to the first and second places respectively, with Jury taking that early lead.
Yeah, and with how well Silver is playing, it's insane to see that Jury is that far ahead of him already. Jury just knows these maps so well. He doesn't only know how to use those boosts to his advantage and find every single angle to use them on, but he cuts the inside edges of every map so well. You can see the only time he hasn't is when he had to navigate through those rocks. So right now, does not have a defensive item to use. He will be hit by that missile, but able to make it across the finish line and finish his first lap before anybody else catches up to him. We can see the finish line not even in sight of Silver on the bottom right now. He just now finds it. So that's about how much time we have between them. But if you really want to know how much separation there is between them, if you look at the middle of the screen, you can see that each of the icons is one of those players. So now they are lined up from first to fourth place. That one farthest ahead in the very center of your screen right now is Jury. And then coming up on the center of the screen at the moment on that middle line is Silver. And then we do have the other two behind them, not currently vying for a position. Jury finally gets hit by that missile, so losing a little bit of his lead, but probably going to regain it here. He just gets right back to it.
And Lovejoy, I want to touch in with him, doing a good job of holding this third place spot and starting to make some difference away from Arcade. Finny trying his best to get a little bit more space. All things considered, I want to give a lot of respect there because he is showing kind of doing what his team would have expected of him, which is to get them and just secure and make sure he's not ending up being a fourth place player. Doing a great job, but that gap that Jury has keeps widening little by little. He's once again at the midpoint of the race as he flies through now almost at 3/4. By the time I just finish a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, a quarter of the map done just like that. He's moving so quickly. He's actually extended his lead in that single quarter of the map as well. He's coming up on the finish line now. And you can see Silver in the bottom right has no way to contest him with items or anything of the sort. So Jury is going to cross that finish line. And now it's going to be Silver coming up on the finish. Uses that defensive item to make sure he won't be stopped because there is actually an opportunity for Lovejoy to catch him. Lovejoy is not too far behind. I can actually see him right now from where he is. So they are very close to each other, but it is going to be Silver finishing, and now Lovejoy will finish. And they will, they're going to leave Arcade in the dust.
Lovejoy doing a great job of, as that race went on, closing that gap with Silver, starting to put some pressure on him. Now there's a situation where you have to ask, Silver's not just chasing Jury, trying to take old first away. Silver's trying to make sure he can, at the bare minimum, get second every single one of these races. He has to be able to stay in front of Lovejoy. Now we're getting into the second race. This is a cup. There'll be 4 total races, and we jump out to an early lead. Silver bumping, using his weight to try to stay in front, but we already see Jury slip by. And whose clock was that? Was that Silver's clock? One of the Cyclones managed to help get their tier 3 out to an early lead. But now that Jury is back to full size, I don't think he's going to let Silver hold on to that.
Yeah, it's going to be Silver in the lead for the moment. We're going to have to see how long that lasts, and it already is gone. Jury took a very nice shortcut that got him into first place there. You can see that Silver is tailing behind, already kind of losing sight of Jury. That's just how quickly he can get away from you. I mean, catching him is one thing, but trying to stay ahead of him, almost impossible. Silver, one of the few people to do it for that long. So, not going to be too much of a fight for the moment, but maybe some of these items that will come out that will change the course of the game. We can see that Jury has that bubble. That is ideal for him. That is going to keep him really safe because if anything does target him, he's going to be able to keep separating himself and defend himself from being hit by anything, which will just give him more and more time to push away from the pack. I mean, look how far ahead he is already. He's more confident on this map than he was on our first map, and Silver on the bottom right falling off the map is actually just at the same time as Lovejoy falls off the map. So I was going to say something about Lovejoy catching up to him, but he fell off at the same time. Lovejoy not taking the same shortcut, which gives a little bit of time here to Silver to get ahead. But it's going to be between that second and third place right now, and Silver falls back into third as Lovejoy gets ahead of him.
And Lovejoy having that bubble, stopping any interaction, and now we start to see that gap widening. And I'm just going to draw attention to it. Jury's about to lap somebody. They better keep on moving.
Oh, man.
Because if he gets this shortcut one more time, never mind. Luckily, he finished the
He'll
race.
finish.
Please don't get lapped by the ghost.
Yeah, I was
Please
going to
don't get
say,
lapped
we'll
by
see if
ghost.
the AI laps him instead. And with that clock going down, too, it's actually going to slow down.
Silver's
Everyone
taking
not
back
named
second,
Silver.
though. This is important. He keeps his team in the race every one of these second places that he can get. Yes, we can. It's really fun, like you said, to watch Jury and watch him find the shortcuts and really maximize his time up on these laps. but Silver once again going wide, hitting this wall, but Lovejoy totally had crashed out, meaning he's not able to recover like he did on the previous lap, trying the shortcut, but doesn't have the speed to make the turn, and that puts him in fourth. If Arcade Finney can finish this race out strong, this is going to be exceptionally strong. I think if he can get a third, that's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. All right, so Arcade grabbing that third place starts to even it out. Even still, Jury getting first place, despite his teammate getting fourth, they will still take one more point on that game than the other team will take. So it'll be 10 points for a first and fourth place, a 9 and 1 combination, and then a 6 and 3 combination for second and third will give 9 points. So the Cyclones still did lose a point in that game.
If you did think the stress was high enough, I watched Arcade Finney wipe his brow.
I was so tense there for a moment. I don't know how Arcade even managed to stay on the map there for a moment, but he did. He was using the entire curvature that his controller would allow him to, but now, unfortunately, gonna be hitting these walls inside of this castle. There's so many places to fall off the map, bump into walls. We can see that there's a really hard time navigating it here from Arcade. Maybe an even harder time from Silver, who's only just barely about to pass Arcade.
This is one of those things that what you don't want to see is a top 2 finish from Bandits. Now, if you're a Bandits fan, I know you're laughing, cheering, yelling at home. This was the Bandits you expected to see on the day. You expected them to drop and put out tons and tons of damage here. But moving around this map quickly, just checking on Jury. Jury's on, only half a lap ahead of the rest of the pack.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Finally hitting a wall there and losing his speed, but is immediately back to sliding and boosting to keep his already impressive rolling.
Yeah, coming up on this final lap here, I want people to watch Jury's screen in the bottom left because we've seen how difficult navigating this entire map is. Everybody falling off of the maps, hitting into walls because of how close quarters it is. Watch Jury in the way that he navigates these corners here, how well he knows this map. As he gets into the beginning of the castle, we may see him get hit by a missile, which might mess up his flow, but look at the way he navigates, finding those corners. He is outrunning this missile right now. It is so far behind him. He doesn't lap that player, ends up hitting him with the acid, and that missile's going to start catching up. You can see it moving toward him on the middle of the screen. It's about to catch him, and there it goes, collides with him finally.
He was so...
Discover new Dove Whole Body Invisible Cream, a new whole body deodorant that's blissfully coconut and vanilla scented for all-day whole body confidence. It's Dove Care, made for anywhere. Try new Dove Whole Body Deodorant.
You, me, and us.
Jumping in, standing still.
Tricky part, maybe doesn't navigate the corner quite as cleanly as his teammate, but in the top right, there is a chance for Lovejoy to take the second place and kind of put a close on this one, make it just about impossible for the Cyclones to come back.
This TNT is going to be important. He's got to get it off his head. He manages to do so. He's managing to avoid. He's managed to keep a lead. And now it looks like the Cyclone players are competing amongst themselves to see who's going to get third and who's going to get fourth as we round this bin. Lovejoy is now about half a lap ahead himself.
Yeah.
And I think that this is going to end up being a Bandits win. Oh, a nice dodge into a wall. That's fine. Dodge the hazard. And is not feeling too much pressure. Finishes the game out. And I think I'm going to take a wild guess at this point, Speedy. This might be a Bandits win.
Yeah, I think that one actually closed the... That's a mathematical separation that is impossible to be closed by the Cyclones now, because with a first and fourth finish, first and third finish, and a first and second, there is now no more opportunity, I believe, because there are no first places on the board, no 9-point collectives for the side of the Cyclones. I don't think they can come back in this one, even with a first and second place finish.
See here pretty briefly if they press A for us. I saw a 27, a 15, a 10, and a 5, I want to say.
Yeah, even if that's... So if that's the 27 and the 10 together, that would be 37, 15, and 5 together, 20. You'd have to get 17 points, or you just can't close that. There's only...
It's one of those
15
things.
points left to go if you get a first and second
So
place.
very seriously, for people at home that don't know, if you win all 4 races, if one player gets first in all 4 races, you're guaranteed to win.
Yes.
You have to dethrone them at some point. But even beyond that, Lovejoy managing to pull a second place out does also secure, because it means that the points just aren't there. The moment you lose a race like that in what was otherwise an incredibly close game, going second, third, you end up being out of the points. Now, I'm giving credit here to Lovejoy. Lovejoy's moving and really controlling his boost there, and manages not to touch that wall there. I could compliment Jerry all every time I watch him play this game. It won't change the fact that he's playing what looks like a different map than everyone else.
Yeah, it really does. He's got separation between him and everyone else the entire time. But like you said, Lovejoy, this is the 2 maps that we just had, the 3rd and 4th maps of this circuit, are some of the hardest to drift corners around in the entire game. So Lovejoy being able to avoid bumping into these walls, losing momentum, and slowing down is huge. And it shows that it's not just Jury carrying this team. Everyone else has been putting in practice as well to make sure they can support him and do their part in this game.
And it looks amazing. Boop, boop. All the little bounces. Jury has finished the lap, by the way. Everyone else is about a quarter of a lap behind, making their move. We see a slow there come out of Silver, slowing down the rest of the competition and moving forward. Blue Orb coming out, so Jury has to. Let's see if he can outrun it this time. Jury, you got the speed this time to outrun it? Nah, it looks like it's closing in.
Yeah, it did finally catch up with him. He wasn't able to grab that item box either, so this next missile that locks on is also going to connect with him and start closing the gap a little bit more. But look how much room he made in that little bit of time. They had almost caught him, and he made room to get away once again. He has not lapped anyone this time, so this isn't him just getting ahead of them by an entire 1.3 laps or anything like that. Now, Jury is surprisingly only slightly ahead in this one, and by slightly I mean a quarter of the map. He's on his way toward the end of the 2nd lap here, so he's going to be on his final lap, and all he has to do is keep this momentum. Lovejoy doing the same, already past the halfway point. In fact, the entire lobby already passed the halfway point, so closing in on this last quarter of the 2nd lap is going to show us what everyone's positions are going to be in the final lap, the last little hurdle of this game. Oh, goodness, another blue orb coming out, going to lock onto Jury. So far ahead, finally connects. Yeah, I mean, they using these blue orbs, getting so lucky. The entire rest of the lobby has been lucky enough to start slowly catching up to him, but he just keeps pushing his lead every single time.
I'm laughing here because Lovejoy's holding onto a blue orb, and he
Yeah.
could always have some fun and be like, whoa, 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 don't finish that fast, all right? You're making me look bad now, okay.
Yeah, they do have a guaranteed win in this one, but you could always help Jury pad his stats a little bit by letting him get this first place here. So something to look at is that the only player with 10 Wumpa Fruit right now is Jury. He's the only one that seems to care that that's going to speed up how quickly he races on the flat ground when he's not boosting. When he's not boosting, having 10 Wumpa Fruit puts him at max speed. However, every other player, we see 4-2 as Lovejoy gets hit by 2 missiles in a row. And now it's going to be 2 for Jury. Special delivery. He takes that second one, but he is going to finish this map before anybody else can really get close. Lovejoy with a decent lead as well. It's actually just the 2 teammates from the Cyclones that are locked in that 3rd and 4th place battle. Not what you want when you're already mathematically disqualified from the game. You want to at least try to close the distance. It's not going to quite happen. And we've got a wrong way as well. Jury backing across the finish line. I'm not sure how many of those we've had, but Jury wanted to just BM the lobby. Wraps it up with a little bit of style.
Yeah, we were joking a little bit, but at the end of the day, we saw it last time, similar when they played against the Click. Jury, you either have it or you don't. Even his teammates tend to finish at least half a lap back behind him. So you can put on a good show. You put up a good fight, but I don't think the Bandits are happy, but the Cyclones aren't too mad about that. They burned almost the rest of our first hour out going into NCAA with Ambushman and Baba Yagins available for the Cyclones, and on the flip side, Luchi-sama as well as Scarlet Rift.
Yeah, so we did talk about, I I didn't want to break the bad news to you before, but you did say that Bo Seif might be available for this NCAA, for this college football. That is not the case because, remember, we were having that conversation about whether it would be Scarlett, Lovejoy, or Lucci that would go in. There were 4 players on either side. So a little bit of math. I know we had to do a ton of it for CTR2. Hopefully you're all keeping up with us at home. 5 minus 1 is 4. That is a separation that we have between the Cyclones and the Bandits. Quick maths. I'm really, really good at it, as you can tell. An English major for a reason. Yeah, but we do have the Bandits finally picking up their first win now heading into college football. They want to try to pick up their second, and with Bo Seif not being available for this one, there's definitely a more even playing field for the team.
I think, if I remember correctly, Bobby Yoggins was pretty excited to see Madden last season. So I'm hoping that maybe you translate that a little bit forward, pick up the college football, and is able to continue to perform. And then I got to look at Lucci. I know that college football is not Scarlett's wheelhouse. Far more willing to throw hands than maybe a football. Not that he can't. I'm pretty sure that if you ever see Scarlett, he's got the size to be a good football player. You don't want to take a hit in-game or in real life. So ultimately here, I don't know who actually has the edge because it might come down to just whichever side feels more comfortable on the sticks. I know that the Bandits, though, they're looking to get this done and dusted as quick as possible, while the Cyclones, maybe the winds start to slow a little bit just to slow down the entire game.
Yeah, you gotta slow the bleeding, but we actually are going to get a forfeit from the Bandits, surprisingly, just extending that lead against the Cyclones. Now, I'm not quite as good when the numbers get real big like this, but I do think 6 minus 1 is 5. So just furthering that separation between these two teams right now and kind of leaving it up to the wheel to decide what they're going to actually be able to try to come back on. Street Fighter 6 is what is decided. And we do have a full roster reset as well following that college football. So it's going to be 5 players from each team. It's going to be the top 5 optimal players.
I don't know who I have favored in Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter's a lot different. In more traditional fighters, I tend to want to favor Scarlett. Not because Silver's bad, but Silver has found his bag more in the anime fighters. You even heard him say that that's not really Scarlett's wheelhouse. So it'll be interesting to see who's able to take the lead, or even greater, because you don't recover health in how we play Street Fighter, who's going to take, or who's going to have the most health, I should say, whose team is going to take more of that player's respective life on the way to a victory. But again, I want to give a compliment to Jury for getting his team on the board and finding them a win. Now if they could just not beat the FF. So that's going to have to be a lineup. My assumption's got to be that neither Lucci nor Scarlett felt comfortable playing the game. That's also why at home, if you're ever in the UEL, feel free to go ahead and sign up, go to the Discord, jump in, and be ready for Season 10, a prize pool of well over $1 million. Sit down with confidence. Don't care what the game is. You could have never touched it a day in your life. Like Speedy, have you played Hello Kitty Island Adventure? And you might be like, no. I'm just going to need you to set it down. Just sit down with confidence, being like, oh yeah, level 6 is my favorite, and just be ready to play. And some teams might go ahead and be like, I don't really know this that well, but he looks comfortable at the least. And so the Cyclones showing off a little bit, looking to find their first win. They are up right now. What about you? Any characters you want to see for Street Fighter?
Cinema Roll. Oh, Street Fighter. I'm sorry, I thought we were still talking about Hello Kitty Island Adventure. For Street Fighter, that's a good question. I think everybody knows that I do favor Chun-Li. I like the classic playstyle of Chun-Li. Really, all of the classic characters, if you get Cammy, Chun-Li, Ken, any of those classic styles, I definitely favor that more because I think it shows two things. It's never a middle of the road. It's either you've been playing since the classics of Street Fighter or you're brand new to the game and want to pick up something simple. Everyone who's been around in Street Fighter 4 and 5 has picked up another character along the way. None of them have stuck with Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li. They've all moved on at this point. But if you started with 1 or 2, or 2 Part 2, or 2 Part 3, or 2 Part 4, or 2 World 4, or any of the other versions of Street Fighter 2.
You're not wrong.
Hey, you didn't know I knew that much about fighting games, did you? If you know any of the other early Street Fighter games, you're more likely going to lean towards those classic characters because they have the mechanics of the game have changed, but they've done a great job of leveling the playing field to the point that everyone can still keep a ton of their same move sets, a lot of their same inputs. So much of the game is still similar. You could have 20 years of experience in Street Fighter, and that experience is still relevant today, which is fantastic. Speaking of experience, we've got a Tier 1 matchup to look at right now. Bosif and Jury. Now, we obviously know that this one is going to lean the way of Bosif, but Jury not looking quite as terrible as the rest of his team. He is at 1-2 as his record right now. He does have a win in Racers and a loss in Shooters. We can ignore that loss on the Racers. That did not happen. Yes, it did. Oh, yes, it did. What am I talking about? Yes, it absolutely did. Jected Rivals. His team lost. I completely forgot about that.
The very first game of the day.
Yeah.
Jury having a loss in Racers is not something I would have expected. But the game that's 1-6, it's hard for me to otherwise. I don't know how I expected that to look, but even still, just the loss in Racers is the thing that stands out to me. I think it's a category that if Jury's available for, it's hard pressed. We just saw it, but if he's not available, or I guess in some cases, a game like Jected Rivals, which I remember talking with him after their first game, wasn't the biggest fan of. You can find some energy. So, AV, we called on you a few times, so I'm going to call on you one more time to let me know what's going on the floor after that very first win from the Bandits. And
Bandits out here looking like the Season 6 Bandits, bro. I don't know what's going on here. They can't set nothing up. They need Rex, bro. There's no Rex here. He's not a part of the team anymore. And you can already see what's happening right now.
So I just want to confirm, college football, was that another setup issue?
Nope, they just forfeited.
Oh, okay,
they just forfeited. And Lucci said it was his fault, which it probably was.
All right. Well, yeah, Bandit's not in the greatest position right now. There's still a 5-point deficit in this game. Street Fighter 6, chance for them to turn it around. I think they've got a shot, honestly. I think the Bandits do have an opportunity here to turn this one around. It would be nice to see them win this one as a team. I thought it was going to be an opportunity for them in Valorant to do so, take a 5v5, win as a team, and all get a little bit of a boost, not only on their stats, but in their confidence as well. There have to be middle ground games here. It can't be everything Cyclones and a couple of games for the Bandits. The Bandits have to start fighting for these games. They have to start playing a lot harder, and honestly, it might be a week-to-week thing. They may need to be practicing harder.
It's one of those things that I know a lot of teams have been in the conversation of not practicing enough. The season had a big step up in terms of the pay scale, obviously going to $1 million. And a lot of this new tier system, I think a lot of players are still trying to find where they stand. A lot of players wanted to argue for higher tiers and are now realizing that with higher tiers comes higher expectations.
Yeah.
And greater expectations are never easy to deal with, but Street Fighter's now this moment. I'm looking at the team with multiple champions. Whether that, I think Jury had moved on to the Ryus to keep it simple. He just needs to do his job. Scarlet has varied who he plays. I'm trying to remember. I think he might be on Ryu as well now. He was playing Vega last game, but not available now, so just swapped up. And on the flip side, Bosif, we get to see when fightings. That's my. If there's one category where Bosif is not a tier 1, it is fighting games. So I need Bosif to come out here right now and prove me wrong, prove a lot of the league wrong, and show that he recognized the responsibility he took by stepping in that tier 1, maybe expanding his coverage where a lot of people didn't expect him to be willing to put in the time, the effort, or ultimately grow as a player to fill those shoes.
Yeah, big shoes to fill, but there's only so many options on the team when it's a 5v5 game. They did have their entire roster available, but oftentimes when you come down to 4v4s and 5v5s, your tier 1's just going to have to go in. It's one of those responsibilities we were just talking about. If you're a tier 1 player, you got to play everything. You can't be willing to sit anything out. And even though Psycho might be a bit more well-rounded, it is Bosif that holds that responsibility. He always will throughout the season. He's going to have to get used to it unless they want to swap these players' tiers, which I don't even know if it's possible for them. Depends on their contract. Silver, however, in that tier 3 spot, we don't often get that far down the list when we're talking about the top of the team. Silver's been showing up and out as well. He's been another dominant performer, so it's not just the tier 1 or the top 2. It's all of the top 3 for the Cyclones that are making the difference here. Meanwhile, the Bandits, it's a kind of a fight for the bottom 3. I would say the bottom 3 to decide if they're going to be strong enough to compete with other teams in the league. I wouldn't even place it on top teams. I think it's just teams in general. Are they well-rounded enough to go up against other end gamers in any category?
Are we going to constantly be looking and wondering what Bandits team shows up on the day? I want to go back to what you said about Silver, because I think Silver is a player that for a few seasons prior to this felt a lot, found himself under the microscope of the league and found himself the taking the brunt of criticism from a lot of players,
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of even commentary. We kind of looked at him and said, like, hey, you've been here for a while. We know that you can do better than what you're doing. And I think he is really taking the steps to get better and to grow and to just overall become a better player in the long run. So we're now setting all the teams up, and the finals will be next.
Yeah, I'd say
as
the
well.
interesting pick here when we see those rosters is that Ed on the side of, I believe that's the Bandit side if they are the player one. Then it would be the Bandit side, which they're starting off with the Cammy as well, which is one of those characters. Actually, both of these two to start. I'm interested to see how they're going to play this. He's a classic Ryu over on that player 2 side. So I do want to see how he navigates that. I want to see if we can really put a few specifics on the difference between a classic player and a modern player. Of course, classic meaning that you need to make all the exact inputs, the quarter circles, the half circles, all of the correct timings on your inputs, whereas a modern playstyle would involve less demanding button presses, less demanding inputs, but it...
Get great low-rate finance or lease offers on select new 2024 Solterra EV models going on now.
Stacy's is the perfect chip for every pairing and any place. Stacy's, baked for more.
Sure, looking very good from the Ryu, just keeping the Kami at bay, finally stepping forward, taking a little bit more damage. And what's going to matter here is how well you're able to preserve all of your life. Both sides just trying to find an opportunity to get damage in. And here we go, blocks into a nice punish combo. And this goes back to that simplicity. You're able to find a little bit more damage on each opportunity and each hit. Nice EX Fireball, steps up and immediately takes space, tries to get some pressure, throws into the corner, and now you're in dangerous mode. Tries to drive impact, but he has to block it out and find your punish, which you did there. No super. Good job blocking. You're not going to get stunned there, but you got to be careful against this wall because you can't block another drive impact from here. You will be stunned and finally gets hit, and we'll see. And yes, that was in fact. So on the left side of your screen, the player 1 spot will be the Cyclones, and on the player 2 side will be the Bandits.
Yeah, good start from Jury, but also a good start from Pizza Man. Maybe we should have expected that Kami was Pizza, considering the other option. Considering that the other option would have been that Pizza Man would be on a classic Ryu, I think that should have been our dead giveaway, but it's very clear that that's not the case. So we do have Jury still going back in on that classic Ryu, and we're going to see what he's going up against here. I believe it's going to be back-to-back Zangiefs from the side of the Cyclones. I think that's what they have next in their 2 and 3 spots. So a very grapple-heavy character. We see it a lot in the UEL for players. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to get a Ryu first. And it's going to be Arcade on the Ryu stepping in.
Yep, an Arcade here on the modern Ryu. And I always like to suggest, even to people that have been playing fighting games for a little bit, if you're not native to fighting games, modern allows you to think about what you're trying to do, right? You see that Arcade is trying to find his opportunity and find his damage, but Jury right now, showing why he's a tier 1, he has his game plan and he's sticking to it. You got to show that you can get past these fireballs before I even stop throwing them. You got to just step up, block, jump. He's throwing a few back, but is not able to compete with this, and unfortunately dying to the fireballs. Wow. Who's sitting down next? Bo Seif. Now this is the big question that we had. Next up is going to be a Kin.
Yeah, Jury is actually going to go into this next round with more health than he started the second round with. He was able to recover by finishing in only 27 seconds. 28
perfect.
seconds.
It was effectively a perfect round, which lets him get that extra little bit of health back. Bo Seif having a few button changes, which tells me he's dabbled in the game a little bit. And here we go, the Kin masters himself. You asked for Kin. There's nothing more Street Fighter than Ryu versus Kin. And one thing I'm looking at, and he's throwing his own fireballs out. Nice jump in. Isn't able to find any damage. And again, not doing something huge, just getting his confirmed damage that he was able to get it. And a nice job using the DP to break his way through, and now backing up and getting himself some more space. I don't want you to always hitting the attack button. Just look for your opportunities, and you got to watch for that secondary fireball. Trying to creep forward. He got to do his best to keep this pressure up on Jury. When he had the pressure up on Jury, he was fine. And it looks like someone told him to try to either super or to parry those fireballs. That allows him to continue to keep hold ground without having to back up anymore. He looks for a DP, maybe hoping for a button, and the jump to bait it. Jury is baiting out him to do something. But here we go, finding some opportunities. That DP whips, but there wasn't ready for a punish, but manages to find another touch. And here we go, but the low hit, and we see the rise of the fist here. And now we come. I want to come to the two players on the side. The Ed here is either going to, I believe this is going to be Psycho.
Okay.
The Kin is going to be Silver. Stepping past that. Jury's doing an amazing job here of just getting his job, and we're starting to hear some life out of those Bandits players.
Absolutely.
They've been quiet this entire game, and they start to seem be having at least some fun on this side of the road. Yeah. So, Psycho, this is what I need you to do. 1, take down Jury, minimal damage.
Yeah.
Then chip away at this roster. This is now a tier 1 and 2 affair. You and Silver have to make your way through.
Jury may honestly be the least of his worries at this point, and that's not saying anything small about Jury. It's just saying so much from the rest of his teammates. Jury put out a little bit of damage, but that might be a full recovery from Psycho. It's going to be a lot of health back, and that's max. So
ultimately, Jury did his job. He took out 3 of the 5 players, and now has to find an opportunity. The issue with Zangief is you can make 2, 3 wrong guesses, and you will die. We see Lucci Sama sitting down. Lucci showing out against the Paladins, finding some wins unexpectedly, had the entire arena chanting his name. And now let's see if he can't do a similar thing in Street Fighter. Already off to a great start, managing to get huge damage in. Good job by Psycho, though. Ready to punish into the level 3. He's going to get big damage here and set himself up to regain control of this round. So let's see what the follow-up is. He's going to throw another fireball, and it looks like he does. Trying to keep the Zangief out. He doesn't want to have to deal with any of the throws. But there you go. All Lucci's got to do is get close enough and get another scoop. And he looked for the air grab, wasn't able to, but here we go. Big combo out. It's going to come down. Psycho stepping up. I like the idea. He's getting aggressive. He's not just waiting back. He's not just playing scared. He's showing that he's going to stop. Lucci has to find his way in. Each one of these steps, is he able to do it without getting hit? But he whiffs the throw, and that leads to his fall. That is one of the modern Zangiefs down, but he dealt so much damage to Psycho.
Yeah, with really only 2 connections. One minor hit at the beginning, and then 2 big connections were all it took to get him that low. We saw the level 3 come out, the very strategized gameplay, honestly, coming out from the side of Psycho, and all it got equalized by was 2 good grabs. So it really didn't take much for that one to get evened up. That's just how dangerous Zangief is, but it costs so much because you have to close that distance every single time, which opens you up to a lot of opportunities from your opponent. So that is the dichotomy of playing Zangief. We'll have to see if there's anything that Psycho will be able to do against Taygeta Zangief coming in now.
Taygeta Zangief, I got to see. I don't think I've seen Taygeta play this game, so he's also on modern Zangief. He's looking to just find his opportunities. Yep, you get too close, he's gonna scoop, he's gonna grab you. Nice job, and it looks like Psycho's willing to just now try to chip away. Doesn't have a lot of drive meter, so now returning to this fireball, keeping him far away on the screen. Finally connects with one of those drive impacts, and then now should be able to get some good damage. No super there to continue. Once again, going back to this gameplay, this is what the fundamentals happens. He's looking for you to jump in and want to press a button. Now, the scary thing is he could be grabbed if Taygeta is aware, but at the same time, each one of these shots is getting his team back into the game. Nice job. I like the adaptation saying you like to do it every single time, I'll punish you. But now burnt out means each one of these fireballs is going to do some chip damage. He can't just sit here and block. He has to avoid as many as he possibly can. But you see Psycho just stopping, but this could be the death of him. No, he doesn't find a hit, and Psycho should be able to close out here. Does he choose to spin? He doesn't.